Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Leo for May 2016. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, where you can check out what's new on my blog, my astrology blog, and my other blogs. And while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter and become part of my community. So what's going on in May? We've got lots of stuff to talk about. There's the carryover from the eclipses. They're still bringing news. We've got the wall of retrograde of Mercury and Mars. And yet, at the same time, we have a massive amount of trines, which are sacred geometrical connections between planets in a most coherent type of connection. 120-degree angle. Everything in astrology is based in math, and the mathematical connection of 120 degrees is a trine, and it is considered most favorable or smooth or easy. Now, you know, for those of us who believe that even the difficult things can be awesome, then I'm reluctant to say it's the best transit, because sometimes you need to have some of those difficult transits in order to get at some difficult things so that your life can be better. But the energy of trine is just sort of easy. And I think that in general, especially after lots of challenges that people are having with the eclipses and other transits, that having some things that are just kind of easy are long overdue and welcome. And we're going to just be happy that they're there. And there are a massive amount of them. So lots of trine connections. Also, the great benefic, Jupiter, is going direct. And this is very exciting. And for many of you, this is going to be amazing news for your finances. For the rest of you, this is going to be amazing news for your definition of self and your foundation of what you feel like you really want to bring to the world that precedes you then making more money or making money doing that. It's good news either way, because Jupiter was moving through for early and middle degree placements. So the early degree placements are like July 23rd through August 2nd, or 0 to 9 degrees if you're watching for your rising sign. The middle degree placements are around August 3rd through the 12th, or 10 to 19 degrees if you're watching for your rising sign. And the late degree placements are August 13th and August 22nd, or 20 to 29 degrees. The reason why I take the time to mention this is because charts can look radically different depending on where your placement is. So an early degree placement will have a totally different chart in some cases than a late degree placement. And some of you in the middle, you could be cuspy to either or go in either direction. So I feel like it's important to mention this because, like for instance, in the case of Jupiter, when Jupiter started to move into the second house for you early degree placements, so the July born and the first couple of days of August, this happened around September of last year. You might have started to feel it earlier. Sensitive people tend to. It started expanding either your finances or your capacity to make money in the future through steps that you're taking now or then. Then you might have seen things starting to flow, like, hey, I'm making money, money's coming in, and then in January, everything came to a screeching halt. And then you say, what the heck happened to the money? Or if for some of you middle and the rest of you late degree placements, you might have had your self-esteem, your self-definition, your rebirth, your physical health, your strengthening your physicality and your energy levels, etc. Maybe you were moving along this expansion circuit, as Jupiter tends to do. And then once it started to go retrograde in January, everything just started to go backwards. But what happens when planets, after they've been moving forward and they go backwards, they're testing the readiness and the structure of your being for the expansion that is yet to come. So if you put a little bit of pressure on, like if you're going to take a wall out of a house, and then you look to see where the support beams are, etc., you can figure out, hopefully, if you take the wall out, if the whole house is going to collapse or not. And that's kind of what Jupiter was doing at the end of last year. It was like putting pressure, putting expansion, testing your circuit, seeing, can you handle this much expansion and growth? And then when it started to go retrograde, it's reevaluating, saying, oh, that's a weak link. We put too much pressure there. That's going to crack. That's going to snap, you know? So from January into May, when Jupiter's going retrograde, it's going through and finding all those little weak links that are more subtle. So it doesn't stop its work altogether. It just stops being so obvious in the external realms. It's more in the internal realms, getting all the inside work cleared up first. And then in May, it's going to be set to expand again. And from it having gone retrograde in that little lull and that rest and those checking out of things, you'll be in a better position to have more expansion. So again, the earlier and middle degree placements, most of you are going to have that expansion in the second house. It's very unusual, in my experience, for people to have a Jupiter transit through the second house, and when they look back on that year, it's usually about a year, it's very unusual for them to not have made significantly more money or really put themselves in a situation where now they have a foundation, they're definitely going to make more money. I know that some years ago when Jupiter was going through my second house, my income doubled and then some when Jupiter was there. And that is what Jupiter can do. Now, we definitely have experiences sometimes when astrologers are saying, hey, this is going to happen. And we say, oh, thank God, I've been waiting for that. And then the whole time passes and nothing happens. Now, why is that? Is it because the astrologers were wrong? No, because the potentials were there. But if you have something inside of you that's not a match for that expansion, and you didn't either do the inner work when the retrograde was occurring or lay a strong enough foundation, you're going to be not pulling in those potentials. When we're looking at astrological transits, we're looking at potentials. We're not looking at what's definitely going to happen. We're looking at what's really strongly pointing towards happening. And then you see if you have more work you have to do, etc. So that's why I always talk about the importance of inner work. You can't create anything in your external world that is not what you have agreement on in your inner world. So if you have a deep unconscious belief that money is trouble, money comes with complications, maybe many people I know when I was growing up, my mom was a liberated woman, and she was very, very, very brilliant, and she still is. And she went to school and got advanced degrees, and that was a major luxury for women at that time. And it sounds crazy, but that was actually a luxury. But I made the association with, you can't have enough money unless you're working all the time, because that's what my parents did. And so it took a lot of unwiring of that belief system. So if I had the hope, I'd like to have balance in my life, but still have abundance, right? If you have a belief system inside that's saying, no, you can't make all the money you want unless you're working all the time, then guess what's going to happen? Regardless of the transit, regardless of where Jupiter is, regardless of what's happening in the cosmos, you're not going to be able to create that in your life if you don't adjust that inside and get agreement inside with what you want to create outside and what the transits are saying it can create for you. So if you're watching this and Jupiter is still retrograde, either way, you still are going to have the energy of Mars retrograde. Depending on when you're watching this, you might also have Mercury retrograde. And this is the best time to go back over things with inner processes, inner work. When Jupiter goes direct, the potential for expansion is very high. And for many of you, that is actually going to happen. So I hope that you will find the abundance that Jupiter is promising as a potential there. Now, there are more things going on. So like we talked about, in March, we had these eclipses. Eclipses tell their stories over long periods of time. And in May we're very active with news and information and changes that occurred from information that could have come in as early as January. We can hear eclipse news even up to 6 weeks before the actual eclipse. So from the end of January, even now until May, these eclipses are busy changing trajectories, making either very positive or difficult or whatever, drastic change for many people. Then April 17th, Mars went retrograde. Mars rules your oomph. It's your get up and go. It's the energy of initiation. It's that spark. And when it's retrograde, you lose your oomph. So if you listen to my reports in February and March, I was saying, go do all your ambitious stuff then. And then take some time off or relax from your ambitions when Mars goes in retrograde from April 17th through June 29th, and you'll start to feel it. I started to very distinctly feel it right after the middle of March, which is what I had told you that I thought would happen, because as you get closer to the retrograde, you start feeling it, and people may get lazy. For some people who are overly ambitious, Mars retrograde, like for me, I love Mars retrograde in so many ways because I get a break from the way that I am, which is on full throttle all the time. You might find the same, that if you are have this passionate fire energy as well, being a Leo, I'm a Sag and I have Aries rising. So if you're like just on all the time, you might find that you really like Mars retrograde because it gives you a chance to be comfortably productive and like kind of sane in some ways. If you want to understand the energy of Mars retrograde more, go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and check out my blog on the topic. Also, you can go to my YouTube channel, Annie Botticelli, and put in Mars retrograde to see my video. So I've done very comprehensive work on this transit, as well as Mercury retrograde. You can look for my Mercury retrograde video. Because April 28th through May 22nd, we've got Mercury retrograde. You know, Mercury retrograde is very active. It's very busy. It's a lot of stuff to know about it, but it's kind of getting dwarfed here in between all these other things that are going on. But it's important for you to know that you might have things come in that seem like they're longer term. They're probably going to be shorter term if they're initiated in May. If you're looking for short-term things, great. If you're looking for short-term housing, a short-term job position, getting something in the retrograde, you might have to be very careful with your documentation and like your contracts. But these transits rule short-term things. So I'm not concerned as much for the short-term things as I am for the long-term things. You don't want to try to launch or initiate anything in the month of May. You want to be the spider. I have a well where I live, and I'm in a somewhat tropical environment, and there is a massive spider web by where my hose bib comes out from the well, and there is a gigantic green and black spider there. And this spider has been the theme of the horoscopes this month because I see the energies of the potentials of the stars in the things that I see every day. And the energy of the spider is what May is all about. It's like you weave your web and then you chill out and you wait for the food to come to you. With all of these trines and Jupiter going forward, it's very likely that the things are going to come to you, which is wonderful because it's not a good time to go out and get them. It's a good time to sit back and watch what comes in, relax. I know I'm going away for a month from the end of May to the end of June. And if you have vacation time, that's a wonderful time to do that because it just naturally lends itself to not trying to do all that much. So if information or opportunities come to you in May, as they are very likely to, just make sure that you really carefully understand what you're agreeing to. Sometimes when something comes in that we're really excited about and maybe something that you've worked very hard for and the rewards and opportunities are just coming in now, as many of you early and many middle degree placements have very strong energy in the 10th house. The rest of you, this is going to be staggered and coming more into the month, the next month. You're going to have a lot of chances for business and work recognition and acknowledgement and advancements and the right people seeing you and people putting things out there to you to see if you're into them. So you might be very quick to say yes as soon as something comes to you because you've been waiting for it and you're excited. Maybe you're excitable by nature if you have a lot of Leo energy. But I'm putting out there to suggest that you make sure you have all the information before you say yes or yes, but I want to have the information. And then spend at least until May 25th, a bare minimum, going over before you make an actual agreement. If you can wait until June when Mercury's energy is less chaotic, that would be even better. You're still going to have Mars retrograde. So if you can wait until July, that would be even better in many cases, but you've got to intuitively tune into your situation. There might be something appropriate for you about the timing of it, but just know that as long as you've got those retrogrades going on, even if these great opportunities come, you have to be very aware of what you're getting yourself into and have recourse if people don't follow through with what they say they're going to do. So, something else that's going on for Leos is this long-term story about relationships. Some of you are having it come through the 7th house. Some of you are having it come through the 8th house. These are the 2 relationship houses, or partnership houses. And there's 3 long-term transits that are occurring. One with the South Node, one with Chiron, which is an asteroid, and one with Neptune. They're all, in the same general vicinity in the sky, and they're in this partnership section. So we look at, a lot of the things we look at in horoscopes tend to be short term because those are what's interesting and what's different from this month to next month. And that's that energy of 10th house that's coming in, career, work, life purpose, accomplishment out in the world. But these longer term transits are ones with planets that have orbits that take much longer to complete. So when you have a planet like that, it's in the same general area in the sky and in your chart for a long time. So it's like an undercurrent of massive change and themes that are coming up. So much relationship karma has been coming up over the long term, much dissolving out of things that are not real or not spiritual, and a great spiritualizing happening. Neptune rules addictions and the unsustainability of addictions. It's like, if you've ever known anyone with an addiction, or if you've had one, you see that everything in your life starts to slip away from your adherence to the addiction. And that's the energy of Neptune. It's like it's dissolving when it's focused on the addiction. When you get past the addiction and remember that your happiness comes from inside of you and is not determined by people, places, or things, then you start to have this spiritual advancement and you raise your vibration octaves and get the higher end of the Neptune transit. That, what I just said about happiness coming from inside of you, not being determined by people, places, or things, comes from this amazing book by Lee Jampolsky, who teaches and helps people with addictions, and it's called Healing the Addicted Mind, or Addictive Mind. And whether you have a love addiction, whether you have a shopping addiction or a substance addiction, anything like that, this book helps you to put, and it's based on A Course in Miracles. I don't know if you've ever read that, but it's a very deep, profoundly transformational work. It's based in that, and it helps you get right perspective on things. You can go around to everything in your life, this person, this situation, this substance, I give that all the meaning it has for me. It's like this re-evaluation of what the truth is, that you are whole, perfect, and complete within yourself, and you don't need to have certain things in order to be complete. And as long as you're looking outside of yourself for anything, you're going to be let down because the universe is showing you that you have to find your certainty within you with your connection with the divine. And this is the story that's going on with this karma and the woundedness. Chiron's the wounded healer. It's like you're dipped into the waters of eternality, except for your heel. And that heel is the place where the woundedness is. And for many people, that is very much in relationships, and that is coming up now. So there's this long-term story of how you are in relationship, where your intimacy blocks are, and what's stopping you from having the type of relationships you want. So it's a very busy time. If you'd like some help navigating through this, you can go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my various resources, including my subliminal programs to help you change your brain wiring and create new experiences by lighting up new neuronal pathways. And definitely sign up for my free email newsletter and get all the goodies that go along with that, including a monthly write-up I do for the month ahead, including dates of different occurrences that I don't always go into in the horoscopes. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.